Think about a store, right? If a store had 5,000 people walking by it, the percentages of them making money is so high. That's what Promeet brings to them.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Next Big Thing HQ, where we interview founders and showcase startups raising capital. Today, we have a disruptive founder, one who came up with an innovative way of turning attention into money. Gadi Buch, founder of Promeet. Gadi, welcome on the pod.
Nice to meet you. Happy to be here. Thank you so much, Connor.
Let's start by setting the table for the listeners by just going over the basic questions of what is Promeet and why do we need it today?
I'll make it simple. Basically, today, when you try to monetize anything that you do online, monetization part comes with a third party, fourth party, and so on. So we decided to change that. And basically, we have like a Zoom for streaming and meeting with the capabilities of monetization, instant monetization using the blockchain.
You mentioned the original business model right now has a third party and fourth party. And so is the thought process using some sort of cryptocurrency, using the blockchain, you're able to eliminate the third party, fourth party that basically allows you to make transactions with absolute trust so that payments can go to and from, and then you don't have to pay an extra fee for that third party, fourth party that usually verifies or creates the trust factor between the two parties?
Yes. Well, it's a lot more complicated than that because there's so many fees and structures in place, limitations for you to even start monetizing. So basically, we're attacking all these. So it starts from the fact that if you try to monetize through Zoom, so you have to have PayPal or start sending links. All the back office work is pretty hectic. If you're streaming on Twitch, you need to have at least 8 days in a row to stream, and then to get at least 50 followers before you can monetize. And then after that, they're going to charge you anywhere between, I think, 30 to 50% fees from everything that you make. OnlyFans, same limitations in some way. Still, they're going to take you 20% before any conversion rates. And also, all these platforms, you put TikTok, for instance, you need to have 100,000 people to start monetizing, and then it's a whole process to monetize it. Basically, the whole structure is just rigged because it's so hard to monetize. Even if you want to use Zoom, for instance, right? So to use Zoom more than 45 minutes, you need to have a license. A license costs money, a subscription, right? That's for you just to have the video capabilities to start webinars, meetings, special classes, whatever. And then if you want to add to that the PayPal fact, then you have to pay PayPal, right? To have an account. You need to have, your clients need to have that account. When you take all these and basically you take the blockchain, that's something that's supposed to bring something new rather than just crypto trading, pump and dump, DeFi, CeFi, and create actual value. That's where blockchain comes in and say, hey, if you want to have a session with somebody else and monetize it, you don't need anybody else, just a feed of a video and the capabilities to monetize through the blockchain. And that's exactly what we've done.
And you talked about blockchain, and I feel like, especially with the crypto and the pump and dump, blockchain naturally gets thrown in with the connotation of crypto and has some sort of bad connotation, even though that's not really the case. But can you basically give the listeners the definition of what is blockchain and why it's going to be so important going forward?
Well, blockchain is basically a chain of blocks that you can basically create independent trades, basically transfer some kind of knowledge, price, whatever, between two people without nobody else. I'm not going to get into the technical, but it's a very, very simple technology that's going to change the world just because you can move things from one side to the other side with nobody in the middle, and it's trustless, and you can see exactly who's doing it. It's not like we and you going to transact and nobody can see what are we transacting and so on and so on. So it's a very trusted system and technology, so it gives you everything that you can see, so you don't have to be afraid of it, basically. But it's just the beginning. We're just taking the sum off of it now so people can understand what you can do with this.
Let's just do a product walkthrough, right? So someone wants to use Promeet, right? They want to monetize for the attention they've generated. Can you walk us through the process from end to end of a user going to create an account and then launching some sort of video streaming?
So basically, when you get to Promeet website and you want to get into the tool itself, there's no sign in and there's nothing going on. All you have to do is just get into the system, and they're creating an account for you. It's a guest account that basically we created. Once you entered the tool, we created a wallet for you, but you don't know that we created a self-custodian wallet for you. At that point, you have two buttons. You have the event go live now, schedule a live, and from there it's pretty much simple. All you have to do is click on one of those buttons, get into the setup of the event, set your price, the time. You have three ways how you can actually monetize your events. Either you charge by the second, so basically you decide how much you're going to charge per hour. Your viewers get on it and they pay for every second they're spent on it. The second option is by ticket, by entry. So basically only when you want to enter to the event, you pay the full amount. The third one is free, basically. And you can get tips. Through all those events, you can get tips. So once you set up the event, you hit go live now, and then like a Zoom, a meeting will pop up. If it's a meeting that's something where we can see each other. If it's streaming, that everybody can see me and I cannot see anybody else. And from there, I can take the link and basically put it in my socials or to my WhatsApp groups, emails, Telegram, whatever. And then whoever gets that event, all they have to do is top up their account and they can start consuming the event.
And then for the viewers, is it this pretty similar process where they go on Promeet, they automatically have a personal wallet created for them? So then do they just have to transfer some money from, let's say, US dollars into USDC?
The thing is, how does a viewer get to Promeet? They don't come to Promeet because Promeet doesn't have, we're not a platform. So we're not a social. So we don't have a feed.
Okay.
And when you go there, you're not going to see anything. You're just going to see the dashboard. Basically, when the viewer comes to Promeet, he comes through a link he saw, he clicked on through socials or WhatsApp or whatever. And then he got to the event. To the event, he has an invitation saying which event is it, and so on. It's all the details. And from there, if the event costs money, then all he has to do is use his credit card, any credit card, Stripe in the US, Google Pay, Apple Pay, and all he has to do is buy USDC. And from that point, 2 minutes later, he has USDC in his account and he's free to pay for any event.
So it sounds relatively frictionless for both users and viewers to get on and be able to access Promeet Stream and monetize, for the user to be able to monetize the Promeet Stream. Definitely a lot less friction than typical normal routes currently today, as you mentioned.
Think about this, right? So if you are a content creator in any one of those socials, let's say Kick or Twitch for that matter, and you want to bring your viewers into that platform so you can monetize them, they're going, each and every one of them going to have to set up his account, put his birthday in, his email, approve the account, make sure the account is there. That's a friction. That's a very big friction, especially when you look at the average person in the world that have 7 socials. He doesn't want to open more socials, right? He doesn't want to sign up for more platforms. So we're trying to keep that so different from where you're at today. Even if you use Zoom, for instance, right? Let's say you use Zoom and I send you a link for Zoom. Zoom going to ask you to download their app, right? So you need to have the app on your computer, on your phone. And we're thinking like, why do we need to have all this friction? Why can't it just be free and simple for everybody to use? Even my mom, who she's 70 years old, she's using Promeet, which is insane.
That's
right.
Yeah.
But then again, she's my mom.
But I think it is an interesting point now. So kind of going into what the business model is, usually the business model for these streaming sites, they take a rake, right? They take like a 20 to 30% rake of whatever the user generates that automatically goes to the platform. So what is the back of the napkin business model for Promeet?
On any other socials out there, the only way they're charging clients is through subscription. And then from that subscription, they take the fee that you just talked about. Just to understand the friction of selling somebody a subscription, the first thing when you buy a subscription is, oh, how do I cancel it? That's the first first layer. And then what Promeet brings to the table, that we only charge for any funds that you make on Promeet. We charge 5% fee, and that's it.
Okay.
So it's simple.
That's it.
Yeah, it's simple. It's 5%. It's like, we're trying to get this thing. We're not live for long, but we're talking to people. Like, people are looking at us at some point, and they're like, "Okay, this is very, very simple. How did you guys make this? This makes no sense, right?" Even the business model, 5% from transactions and from tips and so on. And they're like, they don't understand how can somebody take platform that big as Zoom and Twitch and combine them into one thing that you can use it and actually make money from it. People are blown away. But it's still hard to explain because it's so simple.
Yeah, well, when you compare, usually it's typically a 30% rake, but wait a minute, you can do the same thing for only a 5% rake. You're like, how does that work? How does that make sense?
Well, it does make sense. And let me just elaborate a bit on this, because those platforms are socials. I'm taking Zoom out of this, but Twitch, OnlyFans, Kick, and there's a bunch of them out there, TikTok, whatever, they're all social. So basically they're trying to bring the best creators and viewers into the same place. Right. So that they have very high expenses on marketing to get all these people into those socials. We don't have that. What we're saying is basically saying, hey, you have socials already. Your clients are looking at you on a daily basis. Right. So instead of you trying to bring them to another social, just bring them to a place when they're just coming to see you because it's your link. When they go to Promeet, they're not going to see anybody else. That's massively important to the change of costs and how people market themselves. And even if you talk to people on Twitch and OnlyFans, they're going to tell you that those platforms, they don't give you enough clients to watch them streaming. And even if you use other platforms for coaching, for teaching, and so on, it's still very, very hard to get clients on though, and you're sharing your revenues as well.
That's fascinating. So basically, there's a breakdown between the business models where you can have the platform business model, which is not what you are. That's what a lot of the other companies are. And when you go down that route, you have a lot higher costs. You have the marketing costs. I'm sure you have a lot more compute costs, a lot more infrastructure costs, more employees. So with that route, you have to charge a much higher rate because your costs are so high. And in doing so, you end up weakening the user's experience because they're making less money for the amount of money they actually bring in. Where you're providing just a service because you're just providing the service of streaming it, and by doing so, you have less cost, so you're able to charge a significantly smaller rate, which allows the user to actually experience a lot more value using your platform because they get a lot more out of it because they basically get to monetize all the attention that they generate instead of only being able to
exactly, and
monetize 50%.
exactly, and that's genuine too, right? Because it is what it is. At the end of the day, a dollar that you make, you're going to get 95% out of it. It makes sense. It's fair because you're working so hard. Think about all these people that they're going to monetize their meetings, their streaming, the live events, whatever. They're working on socials, right? They're creating content
Yep.
every day. For who? To get followers, and then in the future, the ones trying to monetize those followers, right, on different socials.
Right.
I mean, the whole system is rigged because you're in the same loop. So basically, you're creating a ton of content for those socials, not for you, because then they're going to charge those clients, right, those ads. So
Yep.
that's how it starts. And you are that little mouse running instead of just saying,
It's
hey,
a hamster
let me
wheel,
do
right?
a hamster wheel. Exactly. So instead of thinking, oh, how can I reverse that? Saying, okay, I have all these people. So I always tell people this analogy of when you have a store in the mall, it's just
Yeah.
like your account on any social, right? The amount of people going through your account, people watching your feed, content, your posts, they are like potential clients, just
Right.
like a store in the mall. Now think about it. If you have 20,000 people following you on any one of the socials, that means that at least 5,000 of them are going to watch what you put today on your
Mhm.
feed and so on. Think about a store, right? If a store had 5,000 people walking by it, the percentages of them making
Yeah.
money is so high. That's what Promeet brings to them, saying, hey, you have all
Yeah.
this 5,000, 10,000. You don't need to have 200,000 because from that 5,000 people that walking and seeing your feed every day, you're going to find anywhere between 5 to 25 people willing to pay for a specific event that you created with specific content that's going to generate the
Yep.
most out of for you and the viewer itself, because the viewer only pays for what he sees. It doesn't pay a subscription.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. I'm still fascinated with the breakdown between the platform and service, how it completely changes the game with what you can charge, your business model, and also the experience that you can deliver and the value you can deliver to the users. It's day and night. It's awesome. When you think about the go-to-market strategy, platform in some aspects has, I guess, some sort of distribution, right? Or at least they promise a form of distribution. What is your go-to-market strategy providing the service?
Our go-to-market strategy is keeping ourselves on the tool side, not to become a social platform, to keep our tool that you can use like you're using Grammarly, like you're using
Mm-hmm.
Zoom. You cannot say Zoom is a specific sector using Zoom specifically. You cannot say it on Grammarly. You cannot say it on ChatGPT. You want to keep it as broad as you can. But basically, we're saying is if you look at the statistics of the creator economy, is that almost, I think, 95% of them, people that do lives, that try to do streaming and so on, 95% of them don't make more than $100 a month. That's 95%. So if you look at the big numbers, we're talking about across the globe around 50 million content creators that are not succeeding to earn anything. So that's the value of the market that we have. So we're trying to get all those people who are struggling to make money, struggling on those big platforms. They have 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 people telling them, hey, this is not enough. 20,000 is not enough. You need to get to 200,000 before you can start monetize it, or 100,000 or whatever, depends on which platform you're on. And we're saying, hey, there's value there. There's value in those 5,000 people, those 10,000 people. So we're trying to get that smaller community, it's a big community, but smaller size influencers, coaches, whoever is trying to do anything live, and say, hey, how about you going to try this too? We're not a supplement for something else. We're just an add-on, right? So if you have Kick,
Right.
if you have Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, dude, keep doing that. That's your window of the store.
Yeah,
So
the
they
storefront, right?
showcase
Yeah.
storefront, right? So this is your
Yep.
storefront. Keep working that. Keep attracting your clients. But at the end of the day, right? If you want to monetize them in a one-time event every week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, every month, right? For $5, for $10, don't forget, Promeet allows you to do micropayments. So you can charge for at least, you can charge like half a dollar to get into your event. You cannot do that anywhere else. Or you can charge 200. That's up to you. That's up to your clients, how much they want to pay you. So there's a whole new value out here that needs to be found within your community, your content, your values, to create that value and actually get paid from it. Why not? People are willing to pay for good content.
Yeah, I do have a couple, I guess, more technical questions. I'm just pretty interested about one when it comes to entry, right? Someone pays to then join a video. Do you set a 5-minute trial window where if they watch and then they hop out, it doesn't go all the way through, or does it automatically go through the moment they jump in?
So like I said, the entry is more, basically everybody can use it, but our perspective for the entry is more for professional meetings, people
Okay.
who do coaching, who do teaching, and they want to get the payment, and they know the client, they they have trust among themselves before that.
Mhm.
That was our point of making this. But definitely you can use it for anything else for a low amount of money, because at the end of the day, you want to listen to what your community is saying. So basically, when you do the one-time payment, when you get in, it's a one-time payment. If people are going to get mad at you, say, hey, this is not good, then the next event you're going to do, you're not going to have any more clients. So you have to
Right.
switch back to, let's pay for what they watch. Let's do $5 an hour. They spend on it 30 minutes. They pay $2.50, and that's it. So
Okay. That
it's a
makes
tool that helps you.
That makes a lot of sense, but you're basically trying to target it for the professional one-on-one meetings, professional group meetings, where both parties are committed on this time for a specific amount of time. So it's not like people are constantly jumping in and out, right? There's a lot less turnover, a lot less volatility with those types of meetings.
Well, it depends, because I'll give you a different scenario. Let's say a big singer trying to make donations, and
Yeah.
she wants to do it by herself, and she has a Facebook and an Instagram with millions of viewers, and she can put her phone and start a Promeet and charge $1 to see 20 minutes a cappella from her house, right? Like Beyonce, for instance.
Right.
Think about how much money she can raise just for $1 entries, and she can raise so much money, no middlemen, no fees, right? Money goes straight to where it needs to go. So that's a different way you can use the entry as well.
The interesting thing is that when there is the middleman, when there is the significantly higher fees, the user, whoever's starting the video, tends to feel like they have to pick a price much higher because they're only making like 50% of what the price is compared to 95% with your model. That is an interesting thing I wanted to point out. But also, too, I know with Twitch allows the users to select price points, but kind of preset specific price points. That is not your model. But
No.
I'm sure you've had a discussion about should we have preset price points or should we let the users pick the price? I just want to know what was your logic between deciding on letting the user pick the price instead of having preset price points?
It's a good question. The short answer for that is freedom, because that's exactly what we're trying to do with Promeet. Is we're trying to give freedom to people around the world, right? Anywhere in the world,
Mm-hmm.
try to monetize their content, regardless of what. If you have internet connection and a credit card, you can start consuming content. If you just have internet connection, you can start making money from that. So the whole idea was that to give the tools to the content creators without any limitations around it, as much as we can, so they can decide and they can find that value, instead of us saying, hey, it needs to be at least $5, right? And usually it's 5 to 7 USDs minimum, just because of the fee structure, because you cannot charge a credit card less than $5 or $6, and then that's how it started. So this is why Promeet comes and say, hey, screw that, let's do it $1, and that's it. For
That
instance,
makes sense.
that's the whole
And then
perspective behind it.
And then also to the platform versus service business model, right? If you're providing
Yeah.
just a service, you cannot also pick the price points, or else
No.
then you're going down the platform rabbit hole. I do think it's interesting thinking about some of the tailwinds that are definitely favoring Promeet. Is that, at least for me personally, I believe the creator economy is only going to get significantly bigger and bigger over the next 10 years. I think if you look at the gig economy, but when it comes to people who actually want to work on themselves, they look at the creator economy as a very enticing route. Also, like independent journalism, I think that's on the rise too. So there's a lot of people who have a decent following, not big enough to monetize through the typical platform route, but definitely can monetize going through this service route using Promeet. And I think that's very exciting to see how it plays out. Now, I want to ask you, when you think about the growth opportunities, what opportunities are you looking at in the future for Promeet?
That's a very, very wide question to ask a person like me, because I have a gazillion ideas, and obviously it's
Well,
part of our
what ideas are
problems
you
as
most
well.
excited about?
Well, basically, we just implemented the most exciting thing we had, and creating a wallet to a person that comes to the platform.
Yep.
People don't understand that if you're not coming from blockchain. We created a wallet for somebody without any signing in, anything else, so everybody can come in and out freely with nothing in between. That's what's really, really exciting for us, because there's
How'd you create
zero.
that?
That's a question for my CTO, which is a crazy guy and very, very smart, but he created something that's very hard to do. But the possibilities of Promeet are just growing into different levels. It depends how far you want to take it. But for instance, next level that we are thinking about, we're not there yet because it takes us a little bit more into a social, is basically creating some kind of a profile for hosts, specifically content creators, like say in some ways like your link tree. So
Yep.
basically on that one, you're going to have all the live streams and meetings you did on Promeet, because you can record those, and basically you can upload them back into your profile and set a lower price for replay of that video for micro payments. So if that first first event was $10. On the video, you can charge anywhere between half a cent to $2, for instance, just making it business, and it makes sense, and people can just come in and consume it.
Yeah, I like that. That's it's almost like a cable, right? You know how TV shows release something on
Yes.
cable and then have reruns later on, but the reruns still help them monetize because they still get certain royalties for it, and it's very similar. It's why does someone who create a meeting, create a live event, only get to monetize it the first time around? Why can't they keep sending reruns and being able to monetize it multiple times in the future?
No,
I like that.
exactly. But the point of that, and that's something that you just touched on, is the live issue. Because
Mhm.
right now, today, it's really hard to monetize lives, do lives. They're getting big again, but they had a slump. And I think even when you try to buy a video that was live, but something crazy happened on it, think about it, because it was
Right.
live, right? Think about, you see
Right.
something on Instagram today, it was live on somebody's story, but if somebody else couldn't see it, right, you send them the link and whatever. But think about that, if you can't, then you have to pay for that to see something crazy that happened live. You cannot see it on social anymore. Only at that video specific. We think that's something special.
And I think a lot of people like that idea, right? They want to be able
Yeah.
to see it. Real quick, let's talk about, okay, so what's the current traction? What's the customer receptiveness? And maybe some of the customer feedback that you've gotten so far with Promeet.
There is a very, very wide range for that, because it all depends on use cases, and different one has different needs. From, hey, I'm an agency, let me set this for my clients and get a portion, my 10% from any events they're doing on it. And from gamers who wants to have different system that adding on to this and to enhance the streaming event and so on. And from people that use it for adult industry, I'm doing all the business in the company, and I'm dealing with all our clients.
Yeah.
And it's amazing what are people doing to get payment and to earn from other people. Obviously, each one has a different value, but the base from everybody that on Promeet right now is people that understand the value. They're early adopters that really looked at this and say, hey, there's something new here, I have to try it. That's the most thing, that this is the first thing that we track right now, is those first adapters that are unique enough to explore new things.
And that's exciting. Now, a couple final questions. Are you looking to hire anyone for the viewers, listeners out there? Are there any roles open? Any future roles open?
As you touched before on big platforms and the way they have their organization built, because Promeet built with a lot of looking ahead of how
Yeah.
markets react to crypto and blockchain and so on, and to content and so on, we built the entire company very, very lean. So at this point, we don't have any ideas of growing our personnel, just because we don't touch the funds, we don't have content, we keep it very, very lean and smart.
Two final questions. A book recommendation. What's your favorite book, or what
Oh,
book would you recommend?
I'm the wrong person to ask that. Not everybody needs to learn from books, but yes, definitely important.
What advice would you tell your younger self or tell someone who's an aspiring entrepreneur?
That everything that's worth going for it is going to be hard. If you want it, it's going to be really, really hard to get it. And the only way to do it is basically go all out, leave nothing behind, because anything they're going to leave behind is going to stay there in your mind forever.
Mhm.
So if you do something, go do it.
Do it.
Don't wait.
Yep. And then last question. Paint the picture, the vision for Promeet over the next 5 to 10 years. What does it look like? What are you attacking? Maybe new features? What's going to continue to excite you? Just closing out the interview.
Well, when I came into Promeet, it's not about the money. It's about what we do and what we create and how we change things. I know it sounds romantic, but it is what it
Yeah.
is. But my vision is actually people using it and actually getting paid and getting away from those chains of today's socials, and actually making it big enough so people can use it and find their value. That's what I care the most out of it. And that excites me every morning to go out there and play hard to get us to everybody else. Obviously, Promeet's going to be $1 billion company in the next 2 to 5 years. You're going to see us on the NASDAQ in the next 5 years. So stay tuned.
I'm excited. I'm cheering for y'all. Gadi, thank you for coming
Thank
on.
you so
I
much,
appreciate it. For all the listeners out there, check out Promeet. The link to Promeet will be in the description below. Gadi, where can people reach you if they have any questions, if they want to create an account on Promeet or join Promeet, or see if maybe they want to start using it going forward? Where can people find you, reach out to you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn, so it's easy to use. Gadi Buch, Buch. It's easy. They could just reach out and just go to Promeet.live. If you have any questions, use the email that we have there, and it gets to me eventually.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for coming on, Gadi.
Thank you, Connor.
Listeners out
Appreciate
there,
it.
thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Next Big Thing HQ. So long. Bye-bye.